Hi, Julia.
Hi, Sasa. How are you?
Good. Are you ready to get into this week's Chit Chat?
We got a lot to cover today.
A lot. I think we should just jump right in.
All right, let's do it. Welcome to GlowJob, the beauty podcast that's more than skin deep. We're the only podcast to make you hotter and smarter.
So why don't we jump into some, fun business news and talk about Anastasia Beverly Hills and their recent credit rating drop. Oof.
This was not that much of a surprise, just kind of looking at how the trends have been going and just seeing that the business hasn't been doing that well. But Miss Finance Girl, just break it down for us, like what is actually going on?
Okay. So I think everybody knows by now that Anastasia is the eyebrow queen. And so I would say that during peak Big Beauty, which was around 2018, they were on top of their game. They actually sold a minority stake in the business to private equity firm TPG at a whopping $3 billion valuation. Again, this was during the peak of Big Beauty. So at that same time that TPG bought a minority stake, Anastasia Beverly Hills, the company, took out a term loan. And this term loan was for $650 million. Basically, what this loan was for was to pay the proceeds for a cash buyout to the founder and family, Anastasia and her daughter, Claudia. And then most of that was used to pay them, and not that much was used to actually fund growth. So basically, the business was left with like a huge debt load. And this was during a time when Anastasia Beverly Hills, I'm going to call them ABH for short right now, was growing like crazy. So it made sense.
And in 2018, $3 billion is absolutely insane to think about. Like we've seen a few like billion-dollar transactions going on like this year. Like we got Road, there was Medicaid, Touchland almost got there. They were in like the high 600s, 700s, but like 3 billion? That's insane.
I know. I can't even think of a single beauty company that isn't a conglomerate that reaches that number.
I mean, but back in the day, like they had it going on. Like it was so funny whenever I remember that she would describe her eyebrows as like the golden ratio, right?
Yes.
But I mean, she had like the Kardashians in her pocket, every single celebrity. And this was also like way before celebrities and influencers were coming out with their own lines.
Now let's fast forward a little bit and we're going into 2020, COVID. The brow/contour trend was starting to cool down because remember when like boy brow from Glossier was a thing, like everything was about brows, and then competition started increasing and overall growth stalled, especially for ABH.
And it wasn't just the brow trend. It was also their palettes too. Cause like when I think of 2018 makeup, I think of like that classic warm toned cut crease, like heavy glam. And their palettes used to sell like hotcakes, right? Like it was absolutely insane. But I think with the way that things started trending, like not only did like clean girl makeup, no makeup like come in and just wipe them out, but like also during that time, there were a lot smaller companies. And I'm thinking like Morphe, ColourPop that started doing the same exact thing that Anastasia was doing and just duping her left and right.
And so then by 2021, the credit rating agency Fitch, so for all of you gals out there who don't know, basically like when you issue debt, so like a loan, there are big companies out there like Fitch, Standard & Poor's. They basically give ratings on debt, aka loans, to show how attractive that debt really is. And so in 2021, Fitch dropped their rating down to a triple C, which stands for deep junk bond. Basically what happened was that lenders were getting really worried about Anastasia Beverly Hills' ability to keep up with their loan payments because growth was slowing down, increased competition, and also, the trends that they were known for were no longer popular trends. So the revenue was just not adding up.
And that makes sense. And I feel like in that whole timeline, even if you just think about the launches that they had, like they haven't been one that exciting. And I definitely remember like a huge flop when it came to their foundation launch, right? Like they had so much pushback about shade range and they really didn't do much to kind of like catch up and make amends with their consumers.
Leading up to today, ABH got into a forbearance agreement with their lender back in late July. what does that mean? A forbearance letter basically means that the lender, so the people that are giving them money to borrow, they've agreed not to force bankruptcy or to sue them right away. And this gives Anastasia Beverly Hills time to figure things out. And this forbearance expires in September on the 10th. So this is usually done when a company, aka the borrower here, is experiencing like short-term financial hardship, but the lender expects them to recover. And this is why they're giving them kind of like the second chance. Recently, on August 11th, Anastasia Beverly Hills skipped one of their loan payments. And so their credit rating dropped again from triple C minus down to a D. And D stands for default.
You know, this is so crazy. When I think of like, what can they possibly do to like resuscitate themselves right now? I mean, immediately first thought is like layoffs, right? Like we've seen so many layoffs this year, Shiseido, Drunk Elephant, a lot of layoffs over there. But second, I think I know what they're going to do. They got to hire Sydney Sweeney.
She'll revive it all.
I mean, she was helping out American Eagle. They were at risk of being delisted. Now their pants are out of stock. Hey, just come up with some like vaguely racist something about eugenics ad and go for it.
Yeah, it'll pop off. So even if they did all of that, like they're still not going to meet their payment, which is coming up in a couple weeks. September 10th is really, really soon. So what's next for Anastasia Beverly Hills? Usually when companies are in these kind of situations, they do one of two things. So first, they could do an exchange offer. So basically what that means is they're swapping out their old loan for a new one with different terms. So the lenders still stay lenders, but they're under new conditions. Another thing that companies usually do is called a recapitalization. And you'll often hear this just called a recap. Here's a really good analogy for a recap. Imagine that you are drowning in credit card debt and your bank agrees to wipe away half the balance if they can take part ownership of your house. Then they give you a new loan, but it's only secured if they take your car. So you end up with fewer bills each month, but you also have less control of your own property.
And I mean, I feel like that's going to have to be what happens here. But at the same time, like, how much does Anastasia care, right? Like she already had her mega payday, right? Like I'm sure that initial, like, she saved a good chunk of that for herself.
So that's true. But also you have to think about it as a founder, and especially as for this like a founder-led brand as big as Anastasia Beverly Hills, there's a component about legacy, right? Like no one wants to get pushed out the door and for them to be remembered like this.
Yes, that's a fair point. But at the same time, like, are these brands just supposed to be around forever? Like, yes, there's an Estee Lauder that's over 100 years old at this point, but like, how many Estee Lauders can there possibly be?
Really only 3. Estee Lauder, L'Oreal, and Coty.
See, we already know.
Yeah.
And next on the docket, we have Supergoop. The FDA released a letter to Supergoop and a few other sunscreen companies that are making their formulas in a mousse form. Have you seen these, Sauce? It's basically like a whipped cream can full of sunscreen.
Oh, I've seen these. I've seen so many of them. And so has the FDA, apparently, because they are sending letters left and right, getting everyone in trouble.
I'm not surprised that this came about because the way that sunscreens work essentially is that they're classified as drugs and there are only certain formulations or certain versions of the product that are allowed to market. And we wrote them down because we want to be exactly sure. But basically, they include oils, lotions, creams, gels, sticks, sprays, and powders. No mousses involved in that.
The letter says actually that the product is considered a drug under the law because sunscreens are considered drugs, not cosmetics. They are regulated differently in the United States. And so because of this, the FDA is saying that Supergoop has misbranded their product and it's not authorized, like Julie was saying, as a mousse or foam formulation. And since sunscreens are regulated as like over-the-counter OTC drugs, they have to follow really, really, really strict guidelines. So the FDA isn't saying that the product doesn't work, but what they are saying is that formulation isn't legal.
And I mean, that makes sense because I'm sure the product works, right? Like they've tested it, I'm sure a million times. I was watching on Instagram, there's this cosmetic chemist, Ron the chemist, right? He's famous for like Beauty Stat, worked with Rhode, and he gave his 2 cents where basically he's saying, he's like, I think a foam works. And he did this little demo where he's like putting the foam on and rubbing it out. And you almost do see it kind of turn into a liquid. And that's what he was really getting at. But I think one of the difficult things is like dosage, right? It's really difficult to do dosage in things like foams. Like, there's kind of like the regular, like kind of, what do they call it? 2 finger lengths worth or like a teaspoon worth of products. So I think that those already exist and are really widely known. But if you don't know how much foam to use, I could see that being a problem.
Oh, yeah. Also, like, yeah, what do you do? Like one dollop? One big ass dollop for your face? Like, what is the metric for?
Right?
Yeah.
Oh, but here's another really funny thing about this letter that I heard somebody else talking about. But apparently, another issue that the FDA had was with the packaging, because apparently the packaging looks like a whipped cream can and it could confuse people that might want to eat it.
Like small children, maybe?
Oh my God, Tide Pods.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like fair.
That was a thing. Like,
That was a
children
thing.
died.
Oh, Jesus, that was so bad. But yeah, I mean, like, so one of the other brands that got sent this letter as well was Vacation, which is like, this retro sunscreen brand, or they give the air of it feeling retro. It's very much like vibey and 80s kind of aesthetic, right?
Mhm.
And when you look at their bottle, it straight up looks like a whipped cream can. So I get it.
Even the photo, it's like in a little dish. Like, you might as well put a cherry on top, right?
Yeah. But you know what's funny? It's like, what's the difference between this and then like the road sort of marketing, right? With a lot of food stuff. I get it because this is technically an OTC drug, so they have to be way more wary, but it's kind of like.
No, it's crazy. And I think it's something a lot of consumers like don't really realize. Like, oh, skincare, like sunscreen is skincare. But like, if you actually look at a bottle of sunscreen and the back of it, like they have like drug claims, same as like your Benadryl or anything like that, right? But I get why the FDA is cracking down. Like, what if like Tylenol one day, just decided to make a totally different form of the drug? Like, I could see how there would be issues with that, but yeah.
What's next for Supergoop and the FDA? Basically, Supergoop has 15 working days to respond to the FDA. And so what that means is they have to outline either, one, how they're going to correct all these kind of compliance issues, or they can argue that they already are compliant under federal law and give their case there. And then two, also, if it's not resolved, the FDA can escalate with actions like seizure or an injunction, and then we could see the products get pulled from shelves.
Yeah, that would be absolutely insane. But I feel like, they're just going to be able to prove or work around somehow. They might kind of lean back on what Ron the chemist was saying, and that like it essentially does turn into a liquid after like the air bubbles in the mousse have been kind of smushed around, like, when you actually go and apply it onto the skin.
Even if that is the argument that like it goes down into a liquid, like that's not something that's easily measurable. Like I actually find this is going to be kind of hard for them to argue a case for.
Oh, totally. Right. And especially because, like, in 15 days, like, I'm sure their teams are working around the clock. They've hired as many consultants as possible. And I kind of feel like the products are just going to end up getting pulled from the shelves, at least temporarily, because I feel like there's really not much you can do in 15 days. Like, I feel like it's going to take that long just to hire the right type of person to help you with the case.
I don't know. I mean, attorneys, they can work hard, but they don't necessarily always work fast. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Next up, we have the Ulta and Target breakup. These two companies are now breaking up their 5-year partnership. And what do we think?
I mean, I don't think the partnership was that successful. Like, when I was reading about it, I think they had the goal of entering in 800 stores, but only ended up doing 600, which is like a lot of stores, but that is a huge miss. But the way that these worked, I think they were trying to replicate like the Kohl's and Sephora relationship, where inside Targets, there would be these kind of massive 1,000-square-foot pop-ups of Ulta products where they, like, shoppers essentially had access to higher priced goods, like a little more like luxury beauty vibe.
I have actually been to a Target with one of the Ulta pop-ups, and I remember when I first walked through that space, I actually enjoyed it because like I am a Target girly and I actually really like going to Target. So it was kind of nice to be like, oh, okay, I don't have to make a second trip. I'm a little bummed, to be honest.
I get it, but like it was definitely part of their whole goal to become that like Target or like haute Target, as I've also heard people say. But ultimately, like Target is not doing well. There have been national boycotts, their sales are falling, there's a decline in foot traffic. And to be honest, like I don't know about other Targets, but the one that I go to in Santa Monica, like it's rough in there. Like everything is boarded up. You can't buy anything without having to like call an attendant. So, their brand reputation overall has declined quite a bit. And so I can kind of see why Ulta, I bet you all the pop-ups, like everything's just like locked up and in cases.
Okay, to be fair, in New York, Target is not like that. And also, I have found that in California, when I go to like a CVS or a Walgreens, everything's fucking locked up. Like, I think that's just like an LA situation because the Target in Westwood is not this bad. It's actually quite nice.
Okay, well, this Target in Santa Monica on 4th and Broadway, like, it's like one of the worst. You've been to that one, right?
Oh no, I have. It's bad.
It is crazy. So maybe like my bar for Target is like kind of low, but I actually also have not seen or experienced one of these like Ulta pop-ups.
Okay, fair. Trust me when I say that they were actually pretty good. I think just the execution fell short, and it's surprising to me that Kohl's Sephora actually did as well as it did. So I don't know. Maybe I'm biased. I just like Target.
No, that's totally fair. But I feel like Ulta definitely made the right decision because they have been making a lot of smart business decisions lately. And again, I wrote these down because I didn't want to miss any of them, but they did things. They acquired Space NK. They had an expansion into Mexico with Grupo Axo. They're also like tackling EMEA and the Middle East, doing licensing with, I believe it said, Al-Shaya Group. Also, K-Beauty World, and just like bringing in all of these different Korean beauty brands. Medicube is joining their team.
And did you know that Goop Beauty also entered 800 Ultas this year?
That is wild and like kind of unexpected to me.
And I learned something recently. Did you know there is Goop Beauty and then there is Good Clean Goop? Have you heard of that?
Both owned by Gwyneth Paltrow still, right?
Yes. Both owned by Gwyneth. But basically, Goop Beauty is the brand that we all know, the bougie, like a little woo-woo sometimes, but Good Clean Goop. This is their lower priced budget line, and they're selling at Target.
You know, it made sense to do it. It's kind of like if Goop is for the mom, then Good Clean Goop is for the daughter. Because I think all of their products are like under $30.
Exactly. Yeah, which is perfect for a Target.
Yeah, but I was just like surprised in all of this in general, just because like I feel like the last time I saw Goop was like Goop Beauty, not Good Clean Goop, but like the expensive Goop stuff was in a TJ Maxx on like super discount. It was like
Oh, no
$15
way.
for like what was originally like 60. But you know, I read an interview with Gwyneth Paltrow where she literally was talking about like Goop as a whole. So think about like the magazine, the products, the lifestyle, the e-commerce kind of business. She had said that the biggest part of the business, the most profitable part, is beauty.
Really?
Yeah. And I mean, I guess I never really thought about like how Goop made money. Right?
Yeah. But again, that kind of makes sense. We've both learned how crazy the margins are in beauty. So, I mean, she's not going to be making an arm and a leg off of the food and the newsletter and all these things. Beauty makes sense.
Yeah. But I hear that they are opening up a Goop kitchen in New York.
They are?
I think it's going to do really, really well because I am obsessed with Goop Kitchen. But like,
Same.
I also had a feeling that like Goop Kitchen isn't the moneymaker for Goop either.
Yeah. It's probably just for her so she can get takeout whenever she wants. And for me, because I love it. I'm obsessed with it.
Same.
So bad.
I eat myself. I've eaten my way through the entire menu. It's so good. But still, again, like the whole surprising of like, I just never really thought about Goop. So I did do a little more digging, right? So, you know, they've been having a rough year. Like they said that they like just this last year laid off 18% of their 216 person staff. One, I had no idea they had 216 people. Again, I knew nothing about, like, really, I just didn't know much. Like, sometimes I feel like I would pop into their retail store over in Brentwood, just gonna like poke around, but I've just never given them any thought.
Again, these layoffs in big beauty, I mean, it is happening left and right this year. I feel like between you and me, we know so many folks who've been affected, and it's crazy. It's the decline of big beauty.
For sure.
And finally, to wrap it up, we have some beauty drama going on between Made by Mitchell and Malachi.
You know, I love me some good like influencer founder drama. There's so much of it. Like last week we were talking about Kaime Cosmetics, but like,
oh yeah,
arguably this one could be worse. So, you know, Made by Mitchell, they got really famous on TikTok. I think like their big stat, super famous at is like he did $1 million in 24 hours on TikTok Shop. Did you know that?
That's insane.
Absolutely bonkers. But, like they've just been cranking out a lot of products, seeing a lot of success, and they really are community grown, right? It's like a small indie brand, extremely founder led. And a few years ago, back in 2023, they had this contest where they were inviting their community to create makeup looks. And the winner of this look was promised this brand collab where they could kind of create their own palette or line. And it was promised that it was going to change the winner's life. And this guy, Malachi, entered and he won. And he was just like so excited to work with the team, was ready to put himself out there. He's like agoraphobic. He was like on disability and like makeup was his safe space. So he would like leave his house, which for an agoraphobic is like the worst thing you could do, right? Like that is their fear. So he went and traveled to Mitchell multiple times, always was just like getting the shift, saying like, oh, it's not a good time to work. Like, yes, let's meet, but like, oh, we'll get you a contract. Oh yeah, we'll get you an NDA, but just kind of like punting him further and further down the line, making all of these empty promises. And 2 years later, Malachi is just fed up, finally sticks up for himself and does like this crazy expose on TikTok, giving like all of the receipts, all of like the nitty gritty information. And, it just goes to show the power of social media in cases like this. Cause, Babe by Vigil is just like freaking out. The entire internet is obviously on Malachi's side here.
So I get the outrage and the outcry because it's definitely a shitty practice to do this, to promise something and obviously not follow through 2 years later. But at the end of the day, no contract was signed. Nothing was legally binding them.
I know, but the poor Malachi, like he kept talking about like how many times he requested a contract. And, they just kept saying, yes, we'll get you one. Yes, we'll get you one. And I feel like they were just waiting for him to back off and just kind of disappear. But, the entire time he was taking down notes saying like, I talked to so-and-so at the company. They directed me to so-and-so. Oh my gosh. But like, I think they were also promising a little bit too much, right? Saying it's going to change your life.
Yeah, that seems a little insane. I mean, it's like, I get why they did this competition. It creates a lot of community engagement. It creates a lot of eyeballs towards something. It's exciting to see like someone like you get to win and like create a whole collection, right? But I don't know. I feel like this brand is just a little bit too over their skis. You know what I mean?
They're just like really intense. And like in the beginning, I was just like, is it because I don't understand UK makeup or like Gen Z makeup? I mean, you know UK makeup. It's definitely like an aesthetic. But like I just didn't like they were at BeautyCon last year doing, and I think he was on stage, but I don't know. We went to their booth, we tried some of their products, and I just don't think they resonated with me.
I don't think we are their demographic, but
And that's okay.
And that's totally okay. Yeah. Like I know I'm not everybody's cup of tea and I'm okay with that. But yeah.
I'm sorry. I'm just laughing so hard right now because like, remember when we found out that his blush was pronounced blursh?
Oh my God. I think I lost my shit. I can't say that with a straight face. Oh my God.
Blursh.
Blursh. Yeah. See, not my demo.
I don't know why I think that's so funny because it's kind of like stupid. Like it's
yes.
It's like, but it's silly, right? It's like supposed to be like silly and fun. Like I don't think they're trying to be sexy when they're calling it blursh.
No, for sure. What is that Gen Alpha thing that people like, the toilet thing?
Skibbity.
Skibbity doo? Skibbity something?
I still don't know what it means.
But that's what it's giving me. It's giving me skibbity vibes. Blursh and skibbity.
But like, I just felt like it's crazy. Like people love Made by Mitchell, right? And I think that he does such a good job. One of the things he does a really good job of is shade inclusion. And I think that's what makes his community so strong. Like, I don't think he's ever launched any type of like face or foundation that wasn't shade inclusive. So he's always done a good job at that. So I think it's partially that, he kind of screwed over Malachi, but also is that his community probably had higher expectations for him.
That's really fair. Sidebar, Malachi is an insane name. I think that's a great name.
It's like biblical. It's from the Old Testament.
It is?
I mean, we could fact check that, but it's in the Bible for sure. I don't know if it's old or new.
Is he a good person or a bad person?
Oh, Sasa, don't put me on the spot like this. Just let me have my moment with my like, yeah, I know Bible stuff, but like
Christian high school, Julia.
but it ends there.
I asked because like the name Damien, I love the name Damien, but it basically means the devil.
I know. I know.
So sad. Yeah.
You know, I feel like it's tough. Like there are things that you like can and can't name kids, right? But I don't know. Damien is tough. I don't see a lot of like Adolfs running around or like, you know, like there's certain names that you just can't name your kids. Like I don't think there's going to be anyone anytime soon naming their baby Karen, right? So I had to lighten the mood. That Adolf joke was way too dark, but like, yeah, let's just go with Karen.
Karen, yeah. No Karens. No, thank you.
No, but Malachi's like, I actually know a kid from my high school, Mormon kid, named one of his like 3 sons Malachi.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yes.
Maybe it'll go on my baby list name. Who knows? So maybe it's a little bit too intense. I don't know.
I don't know, but like, you know, Nara Smith is pregnant again.
Yeah.
The like the Mormon model influencer. She gives her kids the craziest names.
What are her kids called?
Sasa, you're gonna die. Okay, so her name is Nara. Her husband's name is Lucky Blue, but they have 3 kids. The first one's name is Rumble Honey. The second child's name is Slim Easy, and the third child's name is Whimsy Lou.
Oh my God. Whimsy Lou is the best one. I can't. What? Slim Easy sounds like
That's
a
my
sick
favorite.
Julia, that sounds like a sick joke.
Yeah, I know. It's like she gave me a Slim Easy in the bathroom.
Oh my God.
I know, but my favorite thing that she does is like, because she is well aware of like how insane this is, like the names of her babies. So she'll just like come up with like fake names, just to, like mess with people. Actually, I don't know if it's fake or not, but it seems satirical because she's like, other names we were considering, but I'm not going to give our baby, like bubblegum, pear, you know, just like sprinkle, like dewdrop, just like, and just will like name random things. And so I feel like she knows what she's doing, but she's still going to give her kid, she's not going to name her kid Kevin, you know, like not after all that.
I don't know. I think sprinkle and pear and dewdrop all sound better than Slim Easy and Rumble Stillskin or whatever it was that you said to me before.
No, it's actually wild. But I don't know. I've seen some crazy names out there. One of the things that I recently learned is like, okay, throwback to Love Island, right? So remember like one of like the original girls, I thought her name was Bella. It was spelled Bella-A.
Oh God. What is it?
Is it Bella? I've seen people on the internet saying Beldasha.
Where's the D?
The dash is Beldasha.
Stop.
I hope I'm wrong. Maybe I'm spending like too much time on the internet, but I literally have heard people say Beldasha instead of Bell-A, Bella.
Remember growing up when we would have to do like standardized tests and you have to fill in like the letters in the bubbles and blah, 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 blah. I don't think they allowed us to put like dashes in there, did they?
No, but like this is why Elon Musk had to like rename his like 15th child, right?
Yes.
Like I forgot what it was. Like I wouldn't have been able to pronounce it anyways, but they were just using all of these like numbers.
The baby with Grimes, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The baby
Yeah.
with Grimes. By the way, I was thinking about this. Like, how many kids do you think Elon Musk has?
I think it's more than is publicly known.
Like, I think it's like 100.
Oh, I was going to say 50, but no doubt it could be 100.
I feel like it's got to be really, really high.
That man. I still want to go to the diner, though. I still want to go to the Tesla diner. It's just always so busy every time I pass it. So I'm just like, ugh, I'm not going to go inside.
I know. I like you. Every time you think the hype is like probably died off, like we underestimate the power of the Tesla bro. Because that is like, you know, when we think of like loyal fans, like the Tesla bro, they're crazy.
Oh, yeah. They're here for all of it.
And they're eating at that diner.
All right. So that's a wrap for today. Julia, I'll see you at the Tesla diner.
Right? I'm going to bring my notes app with all of the baby names I have saved.
Perfect. Sounds like a date. Bye, Jules. I'll see you next week.
Bye.